Hello, welcome to the Onfire Show. This is your host, Daryl Brooks, and I have a very special guest coming out of Charlotte, North Carolina. He's out in North Carolina, and his name is Brother Jamal. And he's coming on. He's right now. I'm going to prove him to come on. He's coming on right now out of North Carolina. Hey, Brother
Hello,
Jamal.
Daryl. How you doing?
How you doing? Pretty good, brother. You know, I'm so excited to have you on because, people were telling me about you, and I said, "Oh my God, who's his brother?" And when I looked at it, I said, "Wow, okay." And I looked at your show, and you were pretty awesome. You knew the issues. You had that courage and that strength. You was talking, you was talking about serious issues, and I got so excited to have you on. And so, if tell my audience, because people up here in the Northeast, they don't really know anything about you. And, or some of my people in my areas of New Jersey, Trenton, I want you to talk about yourself and let everybody know, the audience, all about who you are.
Okay. I'm Jamal Lane. I'm out of Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina. Let me see if this is going to pay through so y'all can hear me clear. I'm out of Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina. I've been a conservative for a while now, at least going on at least about 10 years. I've been Republican. What happened was I woke up and started realizing what was going around and what was going on in the black community. As I tell people, I'm no person that sits and put myself high up on a pedestal, because at one time I was a no good piece of trash drug dealer. That's how I say it, and I let it be known, because you have a lot of people, they try to glance over their past. My past is not good. I try to let people know that at one time I've seen both sides. I've seen liberals and Democrats and the NAACP come to areas where we were hustling at and tell us to vote, but don't tell us to get off the block. So in experiencing those things, Daryl, you start saying, well, what's going on? What's going on? Then when you have the black church, which is supposed to be the foundation of the black community, willing to turn their back on God to support the Democrat Party, then you start saying, whoa, what is wrong? You have groups like the NAACP, you have the Democrat Party, you have all these groups. They are alleged they are for the black community, but when you ask them questions about what do they really support, nothing they say, nothing they disagree with is against the Democrat Party. We have someone here in Raleigh, North Carolina, during Raleigh, North Carolina, named William Barber, was head of the NAACP. Now, the whole time the Democrats was in control of the Senate and the House here in North Carolina and governorship, you never seen him do a Moral Monday. But soon as the Republicans gain control, then all these problems start happening. And then he started doing all these Moral Mondays. So it's like, wow, the hypocrisy. Then when you look at the black community, the same things getting worse and worse, supporting the same people over 50 years, and it's not getting any better. Yeah. Something has to change. And if you go back and look to those old preachers, those old deacons during the civil rights movement, they weren't talking about men coming out here dressing like women. They weren't talking about spending all your money doing. They was talking about family structure, God, and they were still talking about the love of the country. Whenever you can be discriminated against, can't even vote, hung for if you try to vote, and then you gonna sit here and all of a sudden hate the nation? They still had a love for the nation. They knew what racism was about. They knew what it was about. Yes. What's going on today is a lot of these young black kids are putting themselves in situations, getting themselves killed. Then it's a problem. Then they want to go out and march.
You definitely you're right about that. One of the things, I grew up in the city of Trenton, and I was a Democrat. I voted for Bill Clinton, and even in when he became president in '92. And one of the things that I seen the same problems. I've seen drugs, crime, violence. I've seen schools failure. I've seen the politicians that's come in our community just lie all the time. when it's time to vote, they are, they're knocking on the doors and looking for our support. And even with the NAACP organizations, in the night, like I talked about, the crime, the more blacks going to prison than ever before, especially in the 90s. And I saw the Democratic leaders just go along with it, especially the Democrats. And so, that's one of the reasons I said, hold on, something is terribly wrong here. When we have 4th and 5th grade kids who are graduating from high school with a 4th, 5th grade education and can't compete, and I'm realizing is that it's the Democratic failure, and also the Republicans too, for not wanting to challenge them in certain Democratic areas, for allowing it to happen. And when you take God out of the community, when you look at when you take the leadership, they want to turn away from God and go secular. That's a question when you see churches who suddenly they love the Democrats, and the Democrats are this, Democrats are that, and you're starting to question even these preachers. So I definitely understand where you're coming from. A friend of mine, Dr. Bernard Lafayette, he was Martin Luther King's aide in the 60s. And, he talked about how the failure of the Democratic Party, a lot of those 60s leaders that, fought in the civil rights movement, they say the same thing, like what happened with this new generation of politics. So I definitely understand. Now, I was in a Tea Party movement when it first started here in New Jersey. And so were you, what part of movements in North Carolina were you a part of when it first started?
Well, at the time, when the Tea Party first came here in North Carolina, taxed enough already. First of all, they tried to paint them as racist when they won't, because yourself and other blacks helped start the Tea Party. A lot of people don't know. Blacks, I'm trying to think of his name. He's on Fox News all the time. He's on Patriot News all the time. I cannot think of his name. I'm looking at him right now. But he was one of the founders out of New York when it comes to Tea Party. What people were saying was they were tired of what was going on.
Yeah.
And what happened was, I was debating a Republican one time when I was calling myself an independent, and he was asking me stuff about what do I believe. And when he was asking me about stuff, what do I believe, he was like, well, you do realize that's what the Republican Party stands for. And me being smart, because, the stigma in the black community about voting Republican is just downright ignorant. Let's just tell the truth. Call it what it is. It's downright ignorant.
Yeah,
right. The Republicans get control, they're going to put you back in slavery. Like they're going to somehow repeal the 13th Amendment without three-fourths, to repeal it.
Yeah.
And when you actually sit back and actually look what Republicans believe compared to what actually Democrats believe, the black community lines up more with the Republican Party. That's why when Republicans, especially down here, when they wanted to ban gay marriage, they put it on the ballot separate during the primary. Why? Because they knew African Americans in the churches are mostly against gay marriage. They believe God made man and woman to marry, not man to man and woman to woman. They believe that abortion is killing children. However, when the Democrats come into churches, they don't even sometimes tell people that's what they're really supporting. They're not even telling people sometimes what's really going on. And then when preachers know what they're standing on, they won't say a word. G.K. Butterfield, District 1 here in out of Eastern North Carolina, because I'm from Rocky Mount, North Carolina. G.K. Butterfield will come around going to all the black churches, toting, every, Sunday, all the black churches. But when you ask G.K. Butterfield what has he voted on, there's not a pastor, bishop, or an apostle or deacon can defend him.
Yeah.
As when I said watching your show yesterday, and you were having a gentleman up there, and y'all was talking about mortgage rates and interest rates and things. How many young black folk know about that? How many actually know about a mortgage? How many think that just because their rent is $600 a month, that's better than actually getting a mortgage and owning something? How many know about equity? How many know about these things? How many, if you tell them, they'll say, why are you trying to act white? And then you extend this is the leadership and the mentality, and then they want to know why we're behind, why the personal responsibility level is just non-existent. 75% of all black children are born out of wedlock. Out of that 75%, 80% of them are single mothers. So tell me, how can you expect the community not to be in poverty, not to come better than themselves, if this is what's going on and it's normalized? And if you speak against it, you're demonized.
Yeah, one of the things I was, I tell a story. I was watching PBS one day. I woke up like it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and they had this young lady on. She was a lesbian, and they was in Washington D.C. I think Washington or Maryland. And they were asking, she was trying to get for gay marriage to be gay marriage in Maryland, and they was trying to get that on the ballot. So the young girl, she had to be like 21, 22 years old, and she was trying to get signatures. So she asked this lady who was getting out of the car. She said, "Would you support this ballot? Would you sign our petition to get gay marriage on the ballot?" And the woman turned around. She had a shopping bag, and she was an African-American woman. She says, "No, I will not support that." And then she said, "Well, Obama," then the lesbian girl said, "Obama supports it." And then the lady turned around and looked at her and said, "Listen, Obama's not my God." So, and then the lesbian girl, she looked at her, the other sister was like, she couldn't figure out, why she would say that. She couldn't understand what the lady meant, why Obama wasn't her God. And so even in the community, you have these young people who are lesbian, and you have the gay men who are basically don't know God and believe that the politicians are their God. And so this is a big problem that we're having all over the country, where you have politicians and you have people think that the young generation believe that the politicians are their God and are the social leaders, and really they're not the social leaders. They're political leaders. And they're not looking at the preachers anymore as the social leaders, and a lot of them don't know God. They don't go to church anymore, and it's sad when you have a younger generation who don't see God as the number one figure in their life, and that's sad.
Well, here's the thing: you have so many people that prescribe to this feeling that they don't need God. Or worse, that God is like the Red Cross. He's only there when you need him.
Yeah.
That's the only time he's there. If you just pray, you don't live a life, because remember now, one of the things about the scriptures, it tells us we have to live a holy life. Only God can judge me. Whoa, the scriptures ain't never tell you only God can judge you. It never told you that. It told you condemn you to heaven or hell, but he also told you about let your light shine forth that men can see let your light shine so men can glorify your Father with our heaven. I had to get that straight. Okay, so what ends up happening? The preachers in the pulpit getting those donations, the NAACP, the Democrat Party, let us come into your church. Let us come into your community. Let us start telling you what to believe and what to support. Then you start seeing it in the church. You start seeing it coming along. You start seeing. How many people don't know how to balance a checkbook?
Yeah.
How many people don't know that tithes and offering just isn't a commandment from God for you to pay to keep the church open, but it's also there to teach you self-control, and how to manage your money.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know that, and they don't invest in that, and the church don't teach that.
Yeah.
How many people right now believe that, oh, I take care of my kids, we don't need to be together? But what are you teaching your sons and daughters? You're teaching your sons and daughters that it's okay to let this woman, if you're a male, it's okay to let this woman take care of the children by herself, and you do the best you can.
Yes, I definitely understand that. Yeah, you know, one of the things I want to talk to you about, you know, and that was also what you said, and you're definitely right, and that's been happening in the inner city areas and African American community, and it's also suburbs. You know, one of the things I talk about is the media and how the media controls, especially young minds, what you see on television, what you see in the movies, even the violent video games. The violent video games, you know, we have young kids in elementary school who are maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years old watching, playing Grand Theft Auto, and, you know, in the inner city African American community, and then you have in the suburb, in the white community, we have, you know, kids playing violent video games of military games, and at 5 and 6 years old, so they get inundated with so much violence. And then you have, you know, on Netflix, you know, you're watching on these television shows, these movies, you have, you know, they showing 2 women kissing each other, 2 men kissing each other, and it's okay for me, a man, to dress up like a woman, and have a good, and that's accepted, because if you accept it, you know, it's okay. But if you challenge it, then there's a big major problem. You can, and so that's what people, you know, the media, especially on Facebook, inundated with violence, the television shows, the movies. You know, what do you think about that?
Okay, well, let me tell you like this, Darren. You want to know where a lot of this killing is coming from, where people are not having respect for life? Look at the rise in all these zombie movies. And a lot of people are like, well, what's so funny about, you know, zombies? Here's the thing, okay? Zombies are walking around. They're moaning. They're basically live human beings. And what's going on is you're teaching these people, hey, it's okay to shoot and kill them. So imagine if you have a regular human and somebody who's a sicko. He is losing his empathy for human life. Why? Because he's seeing people getting shot down, chopped down, and it's good. So a lot of this stuff is coming from these shows like these zombie movies, because people lose their empathy, because what they're seeing somebody walk around. Well, imagine if somebody had just been shot and they're walking around in pain, they're going moaning. You're going to be cruel, and the cruelty and the evil is going to come back. Yes, TV and video does play a big part in society. The news media, they know that. And what the news media is, they're slick. And I'm going to tell you what they do. When they want to let you know that they particularly support something, they'll use words that if you oppose them, it will be basically said you're against it. Okay, take example. Me and you said gay marriage. Gay marriage is not right. But how they get away with it, they'll say marriage equality. Now, are you opposed to equality? Are you really opposed to equality? So they have took words, twisted them. So if you say, they'll say marriage equality. So if you say gay marriage, they'll keep saying equality, marriage equality, equality, equality. So then if you are opposed, you're painting yourself as a bigot. Then if you sit down, another word, I'm going to tell you another way they try to trick people. When they say abortion, no, a woman's choice. It's a woman's choice. A woman's choice to do what? It's her body. Okay, it's her body. It's her body to do what? What they try to do is keep dancing around the word, so they'll find a meaning that you can't oppose, that if you do, you'll come off looking like the one that's bad, and they'll come off looking like the one that's good. And they have tricked so many conservatives and so many Republicans and tripped us up like that the things we stand on, core principles, and it could be the scriptures. They make us look like bigots, homophobes, xenophobes, and any other phobia they can come up with. Yeah. And speaking of that, liberals join the medical field, especially the psychological field, the psychology field, so then they can have a voice in determining what is considered a psychological disorder and what is not. Yeah. You mean to tell transgenderism was called gender identity disorder. Now, anything that's a disorder mean it ain't supposed to be done, and you don't supposed to coddle it and try to accept it.
Yeah.
But now they come up with these new transophobia. Well, you know what, Daryl? I want to be trans rich. I want to have trans mortgage paid off. I want to have my trans truck paid off. Yeah. But what happens if I tell you that? You're going to look at me like I'm crazy. Yeah. Well, that goes to the same thing. They take words and they play on them.
Yeah.
And then when you come and oppose it, then you're looking like you're the bad guy, you're a bigot, you're a homophobe, and all these other things. And this is why 1960s, because I'm gonna hurry up, Daryl, because I want to talk over you because this is your show and I want to talk over you.
No, go ahead, brother. Go ahead. That's why I wanted you on, so I get my audience to see who you was.
Okay. Well, in the 1960s, you ever want to know what happened? People ever want to know what happened to those hippies and those Black Panthers and all those groups like that? They became professors.
Yes.
They became reporters. And they became teachers. So today, what we are fighting those from the 1960s, but it's like the Terminator. They've gotten a lot stronger and a lot worse. Not the individual, but the ideology. See, the ideology keep going. Marxism is older than Marxism. Communism come out of Marxism. Well, guess what? Karl Marx is dead. Yeah. But Marxism still lives on because it's the ideology and people are embracing it and people get worse with it. So now in the 1960s, well, now if you are a black man and you tell another black man, hey, listen, you need to get your act together. You need to be strength to your family. You need to have some type of trade, some type of career, be doing something. Now you're judging. You ain't being black. You got some white in you. Tell me that doesn't sound like the Black Panthers from the 1960s.
Yeah.
See?
And one of the things that, I definitely wanted to talk about is, how things have changed and how we view each other as a people. When there's so much killing each other, like in Chicago, Baltimore, Maryland, New York, Camden, Trenton area, Los Angeles, and and how we think of each other as a people, and the thing about what's happening to our society. We have more violence in our schools than ever before. We have young kids that are using, a more violent shooting at ages of 13, 14, 15. They're violent in school. They're not getting a great education. So, and also, when you're not getting a great education, and you can bear witnesses, when you're not getting a great education, you're acceptable to a lot of the foolishness on the media, and what's on television. So it's, people say, oh, that's a conspiracy. Well, if you look at the criminal justice system, you look at how kids are not getting educated, and you look at some of the things that, our young kids, especially African-American kids, are doing on Facebook. You see some of the craziest things in their thinking, and you see some of, the fighting, the sexist, the craziest things they're doing on Facebook, and how they're living. And that's a testament of the liberal progressivism and how they want to change America. Once we saw, I remember the thing with Bruce Jenner at the Etsy Awards, and a lot of You know, and you know, a lot of us brothers were thinking, you know, we're looking at this, we're like, okay, what's happening here? You know, why is this guy getting the Arthur Ashford of Courage Award? You know, what is, you know, and so a lot of young people, oh my God, well, that's cool. That's, you know, that's all right. And in our generations, like we're looking like, okay, what part of what type of world we living in? And the young kids are just accepting it. And even when you try to, you know, talk to the young kids, you know, the media, the liberal left, the MSNBC, the CNN is so powerful. I mean, it's powerful media out there. You know, so, you know, how do we fight back? How do we challenge this corrupt system, this media system that's basically spreading lies and trying to transform our country?
Truth be told, Daryl, sitting back and looking, it has begun to transform.
Oh yeah,
and it's transforming for the worse. It has taken root. It's like cancer. Once cancer takes, you know, and anybody who have ever suffered from cancer, because my mother, she had cancer before she had passed away. So I use cancer because cancer is something. My condolences as well. One thing about cancer, it gets in and it spreads. Then you have to do something radical to get rid of it. If you don't catch it in the early stages, you have to use chemo. You lose hair, you lose weight, but you save your life. The black community right now is probably stage 2, and we need chemo because our leadership has failed us. Our leadership, not in the 60s when we had Malcolm, Martin, Mega, all those. No, they didn't fail us. But the leadership we have now that keep their pockets open, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, William Barber, the NAACP, what they're about is making as much money off the black community as they can. So what they do is they don't preach and they don't talk about personal responsibility because they'll rather look at themselves as victims. They'll rather look at themselves and say, I can't make it because I'm black. I can't make it because my great-great-great-grandfather was a slave. I can't make it because my great-great-great-grandmama was a slave. I can't make it because granddaddy went through Jim Crow, or I can't make it because grandmother went through Jim Crow. That has nothing to do with you having 3-4 kids out of wedlock because there was no white man behind you telling you you have to make those babies. And out of wedlock, it starts and it contributes to poverty because you have to take care of those children. Then after that, you're not getting educated. Why? Because you're too busy in school playing a fool. And sometimes it's not playing a fool. You're in school worrying about the gang violence. Because let's just tell the truth. It's Bloods and Crips in the schools. It's teachers scared to go to school.
Oh, yeah.
So what you have is the distraction from the kids. Instead of kicking their butts out of school, since you don't want to come to school, get out. What they do is, well, you don't need to throw them out. They want to learn too. No, they don't. It's always an excuse to keep the normal, but never a reason to challenge it. They can come up with every excuse why it's not their fault, but no reason to come up with personal responsibility. How do we change it? It's going to take, like I said, chemotherapy. The black community is going to have to tell these young men this welfare and this stuff, it's going to have to get cut. You're going to have to start letting these black men, at one time, men weren't ashamed of going in the fields to pick strawberries or pick pumpkins or whatever. They went out there and worked. We have to sit there and tell these young kids in the black community there's nothing wrong with being HVAC, electrician, a carpenter. We have to let these entertainers know that ain't everybody gonna bling bling. Ain't everybody gonna have it like that. And we have to get back control of the black community. We have to hurt feelings and get control. Frederick Douglass said this: it is easier to build a child than repair a broken man. It is harder to repair some of these men because they're broken, and it's their faults. A lot of it is their faults, but no one is there to tell them it's your fault. You have to come back. You can't keep telling them that it's not your fault. You're being picked on. It's racism. It's the system against you. It's not going to work. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. That's why I use chemotherapy, because if you taking chemo, you ever seen someone, my mother, when she was taking it, some of her hair came out. Some people gonna be hurt. Some people just gonna have to realize they screwed their life up. It's about the child. Don't focus on yourself being happy. Focus on making sure your child is gonna be happy, so your child won't repeat the mistakes you did.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. You're definitely right. And I want to discuss a couple other things about politics. We now see about Trump, and you know, when I had met Donald, I was at the UN. I was in New York when we was in Washington at the rally when Obama made that deal with Iran, and we all rallied in Washington. And you know, I was a Ted Cruz fan, and I met Trump. I shook his hand. I didn't really like Trump at first. You know, I saw his shows, and for me it got, you know, Trump, you know, I just, you know, something was about him. But after he got, you know, when I saw him debate, and you know, I said, wow, we need someone like him. We need someone who was telling like it is, straightforward. And you know, and when he got the nomination, and when he you know, tackled, you know, he challenged Hillary in a debate. And you know, and the fact was, you know, it was one of the most exciting debates I've ever seen. And then when he won the nomination, you know, I was in matter of fact, I was in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and when I saw Scranton, Wilkesboro, and I saw all these lines, they were like the Obama lines in 2008 in Scranton and Wilkesboro, and they, you know, people waiting for hours to vote for Trump. And you know, and I was like, wow, and it was exciting, one of the most exciting things. And they were telling me, they said, Daryl, we were Democrats, but we voted for Obama 2008, but now we're voting for Trump because Trump has he's talking about bringing jobs back. He's talking about the family, and that was definitely exciting. And then when we had the numbers, a friend of mine, Lou Jassicall, who was running for state senate, and we were looking at the numbers, and we looked at it, and Trump won Florida at 9 o'clock. I said, oh boy, it's about to go down. it was about to go down, and then it say he won Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. I said, it's over. And next thing you know, that, you know, you saw Hillary Clinton, all her supporters like crying, and people running out in the street, losing their mind. I was like, I mean, come on, really, people, young kids, are you really about to lose your mind, go on the street and tear up the cities? Because, you know, and then they had the women's march. I mean, and it was so sad. You know, I mean, Trump, you know, as a politician, he beat the Clintons. He beat the Clintons and he beat the Bushes, two political powerhouses, the top political families of, I guess, in the past 30 years. And I said, listen, are y'all really going to march it? And they were so disrespectful, because I didn't support Trump at first. And I said, listen, when the media started attacking this man, they just didn't want to beat him. They wanted to destroy this. I said, hold up, something's wrong with this. And, you know, and I saw the media lying and calling him anti-Semitic. And then there were black people in the area said he wanted to send us back to Africa. I'm like, oh, who told you this? Who told you these stories? Where are you coming from with this? And then there were all these crazy stories. And basically I said, listen, you know, I like Trump. He's my man. I went to Middletown and I spoke at a rally for Trump. And, you know, and when we talk about people with racism, when we was in Wilkesboro and Scranton, you know, these people, you know, people who voted for Trump, they had LeBron James jerseys on. He was sitting out eating having a bottle of beer, sitting at the table and eating hot wings. We were all having, and that was conversation. He said, Daryl, we're suffering here in Scranton, in these factory areas that we lost our jobs under the Clintons, under the trade, and it was crazy. And then in Philadelphia, there were African-American women said they was not supporting Hillary Clinton because they remember the 94 crime bill that sent over 1 million black men to jail. And then they also remember Hillary Clinton said that African-American men were super predators. So, there were a lot of people, especially in African-Americans, did not support Hillary Clinton. And there were a lot of African-American men that say, listen, I like Trump. I know Trump. I can't support Hillary Clinton. I just don't trust her. A lot of military people, and said, listen, I can't do it. I remember with Libya, what happened over there. So, I can't support Hillary Clinton. And then they come up with this whole thing of the Russians meddled in the election, right? And I'm like, okay, wow, really, people. So it was a lot of different stories, and it bothered me because of what people in the media, MSNBC and CNN, and what's the guy on CNN, the bald head guy? I can't think of his name.
Ali Vichy. You came from CNN, Ali Vichy?
No. He's the African-American guy. Van Jones.
Oh, that's CNN. Oh, you said MSNBC.
Okay, CNN, Van Jones. First thing he said was those people in Scranton and Wilkes-Barre area, Pennsylvania, were racist. And I'm sitting with these people. We having a bottle of beer, and chicken wings, eating and playing pool after the election. We were all talking about the election, and racist people don't sit down with you and have and eat chicken wings and and play pool with you and celebrating the election. That's kind of crazy. And so I understand now what the media, especially the left, was trying to do to Donald Trump. They don't want him as president, so they just tried everything they can to degrade him in his first election. This in the first couple weeks of the election.
Well, let me say this, Daryl. And one of the things Bill Clinton did was he stood up and he told the truth about what was going on. In 1990s, you remember, black folk was killing each other in record droves. Drugs was going throughout the black community, and it was, and especially in LA, the Congressional Black Caucus and other black leaders went to the White House and they begged for Bill Clinton to do something. And they came with the 3 strikes law. The 3 strikes law was to get those who had been in and out of community over and over again, in and out of prison, in and out of prison, in and out of prison, to get them off out of the community so the community could get better. When Hillary Clinton said these black men are super predators, she was talking about the ones being locked up, but she didn't have the courage or the spine to actually say what she was saying. Yes, she was saying, the way she said it, yes, she was saying black men, but she should have clarified herself and stood with Bill Clinton when they was challenged her, when that Black Lives Matter trash challenged her on that. Bill Clinton responded. I don't know if I was watching on a political trail. Bill Clinton responded. He said, so what did you expect me to do? Let them continue to gangbang and kill each other in a community? Bill Clinton, the Congressional Black Caucus, and everyone, they came saying, we need help. Our people are sleeping in bathtubs in certain communities because the gang violence is so bad. Well, if somebody's cousin and brother or aunt or whoever is out there selling drugs and they're part of it, guess what? They got arrested. Don't sell drugs. Don't sit there and gangbang. The black community have always had this feeling of ourselves. Yes, we take care of each other. But you know what? I remember growing up to where the next door neighbor could tell you how I'm poured up. We didn't have that anymore. We didn't have that type of community love for each other. It was to the point where the old folk were sleeping with their locks, guns at the door, and people were breaking in their houses while they was there, beating them up, going into the churches, robbing the churches. So in the 90s, they had to do something to get it under control. So the crime bill passed. Now, did it have effect on the black community? Yes, it did. A lot of black men got locked up. But those ones that were locked up had to get out of the community. If you're sitting up there selling drugs or you're destroying the community, as I said before, I was a no-good piece of trash drug dealer. Nobody can't tell me the drug dealers are sitting out there, oh, we're so good. No, we're not. No, we were not. And during the campaign, you had Hillary Clinton, and you had, when she was running, she was always ducking the dodgers. She was always trying to appease somebody. She was always trying to, especially at times she went on the show Breakfast Talk, and she said, I got hot sauce in my hot sauce in my purse. She like, are you pandering? Ha ha, I'm trying.
Yeah, she was someone you just couldn't trust. You know, you can just look at her and tell she was hiding something, or she just couldn't trust her.
No, you couldn't. But what made me like Donald Trump, I was originally going for Ted Cruz. If anybody look at my profile pics, you will see when I used to drive my Jeep, I had my Jeep Compass, I had Cruz 2016. But when I watched that debate and I heard President Trump come down that escalator and just lay it out about illegal immigration, because a lot of people mad at me about my recent post about illegal immigrants and them killing that girl, Nana and Kanisa, killing those two little girls. But they sat there and they were oh so mad. They were so mad at President Trump coming down and telling the truth. Yeah. And I'm like, I like him. I like Trump. You always saw Trump on different shows. And you like, I like him. And the first debate, I'm like, wow, he really don't. He's gonna tell you the truth. This is not a joke. Yeah. So then I was like, I don't know. It's kind of getting hard for me between Ted Cruz and Donald Trump. Then after the first debate and the second debate, and he started really lighting them up, I was on the Trump train. I was on the Trump train before the I was on the Trump train before the Iowa caucus, and they started voting. And once that went on, I'm like, I grew up in the 80s. I'm an 80s baby. I was born in the 70s, 1975, but I grew up in the 80s, to where men bragged about themselves. We was, I can lift the whole mountain. I can fix it. I can do it. That's how men were. And that's how Donald Trump is. I'm like, he remind me of my daddy or my uncle, because there was nothing he couldn't do. Yeah, and that's what we were looking for. And that's what we need.
And, you're definitely right. And when I saw Trump, when he won the election, I just laughed. I just laughed because I just couldn't wait to see all those Democrats, the left, wake up in the morning time and how they feel. And it's like this, and this man, I said, Trump, and it was just amazing that he beat them at their own game. And, and all that stealing of an election, and that he is also, and like I tell people, we really have a problem, and talk about immigration, we have a serious problem on immigration. And I remember, I think it was maybe about 7 to 8 years ago in Newark, maybe about 8 or 9 years ago in Newark, they were the 3 or 4 legal immigrants, and they were college students, and they were it was 3 college students. They were in the park, just playing around in the park on the tennis court, and they were playing, and these 3 or 4 legal immigrants, they were already locked up one time, but they were let out because Newark is a sanctuary city. They basically got these 3 African-American kids and told them to get on the ground. They kneeled on the ground, and so the illegal immigrant, and I don't know if he was MS-13. I don't even know if he was MS-13 or not. They basically shot him in the head, killed all 3 of them. And the black community got upset. I mean, they got up in a roar. I mean, and then who came inside? The Democrats. The Democratic left, they came inside with calming the African-American black community down and said, oh, no, don't get upset, don't get upset. And they were upset because of, you know, first of all, they were they were locked up. They should have been held and sent back to their country. But under the mayor at the time, they was, you know, they let them go because, hey, basically it was a sanctuary city. If they committed a crime, they had vehicle, they had a couple of them had car crashes. They were drinking while they was driving, and they locked them up, but they let them out. And because they let them out, and the failure of the Democratic Party, and when it comes to and especially with sanctuary cities, they got out and they killed three young African American kids that was going to college. They were freshmen, and so, you know, and watching what happened with those the two parents, what happened to their children. And then seeing that the Democrats, especially the African American Democrats, did not stand, you know, and that was so hurtful. It was, to me, it was an embarrassment. I was embarrassed.
I remember that, Daryl. I actually remember when you was talking about it. I remember about illegals taking. It was 3 black college students, and I believe they were black males, and they put them on their knees and shot him in the head. I remember hearing something about that, but the media.
It was a Law and Order. Matter of fact, it was a story. It was the same type of story on Law and Order. That's where they got it from.
Okay. Well, what ended up happening is you got so many of this liberal Democrat trash. They try to push this crap about brown and black unite, brown and black unite. And I've told people before, that's cold talk for race war. Okay, that is cold talk. When you hear them say black and brown unite, what they're simply saying is brown and black unite to take on the white establishment. And when those illegals killed those black young youth first, execution style, then when they hacked up Nisa Mikens and Kayla Kavars, the 2 black girls that President Trump had, the parents he had in the State of the Union address, and the Democrat Black Caucus sat on their hands. They sat on their hands and wouldn't stand in honor of the parents. When I saw that father break down and cry, I couldn't stay in the room. I had to walk out because I had my daughter right beside me, you know, because I'm teaching her, training her up so she'll know about conservatism and things. And I can just imagine, and I just imagined that quick, and I almost started to cry. It's crap like that. I've said it before. Black children are expendable for illegal immigrants to be comfortable here in America. They do not care about us. That's why they have abortion clinics close to the black community. In New York, one year they aborted more children than was born. And people don't care. And when these illegals come over here and they commit these crimes and they're sanctuary cities. Now here's where American community ought to just stand up and say, whoa, hold on. You've had people that committed crimes, served their time, Daryl, got out, and are looking for jobs. But they cannot get a job because of background checks, because they go so deep in it. So how can you have a sanctuary city where you are allowing illegals to sit there and stay in and be able to work, but you want to allow that young black male who sat there, who been doing, he screwed up. I ain't gonna say mistake. That's a screw up. He screwed up his life. He screwed up, went to prison, came out. Now he's a changed man, but he can't get a job because the background checks are so bad that they're acting like if he want to work at Capital Ford here in Raleigh to wash cars or sell cars, he can't do it because he was arrested for selling drugs, went to prison for selling drugs, or he was a gangbanger, but he changed his life. Oh, he can't get a job, but you can take an illegal immigrant and let him get back on the streets, and you can let an illegal immigrant dance around the federal government, and you help him. You know, nobody, you know, black folk, and I've said it before, we're only good to the Democrat Party for votes. The reason why they're fighting over illegal immigrants like they are right now is because the Hispanic people split their vote 60-40 or 30-70. They won't put all their numbers behind a particular party because they seen what has happened to the black community. They seen us go from a good, powerful, economic powerhouse to what we are today. The Democrats don't care about us. They hardly don't even want to be around us.
You know, you're definitely right. You know, one of the things, and I tell the story of a guy I go to church with, the Shiloh Baptist Church in Trenton, New Jersey, is that, you know, I tell a story, he was from Texas, and he goes to Princeton Seminary. And, you know, his liberal professor, who was white, said that the best you're going to get out of my class is a C. Now, you know, he looked at him like, well, you know, why would you say that to me? And, you know, be the best, he's an African-American, and he's from Texas, and he goes to Princeton Seminary. And he said, you know, he said to me, Daryl, you know, I've never experienced, you know, this before ever in my life, where a professor, a white liberal professor, says, you know, the best you want to get out of my class is a C. And, you know, he starts saying, well, you know, Daryl, these liberals, they're liberal on abortion, they're liberal on gay rights, gay and lesbian rights and transgender rights, and they're liberal on education. But when it comes down to dealing with African Americans, they're not so liberal. I mean, and I'm going to tell you, you're definitely, and I told him, I said, brother, don't feel bad. I'm banned from Princeton University. And, you know, for having I had a tea party meeting that, you know, they said I could have it. Next thing you know, I'm persona non grata. I think I'm banned from about three colleges. but it's because when you stand up for right, and you know, you're not one of those, you know, African Americans who you know, I'm an independent thinker, and you know, I'm the type of guy that never bow down, and we're going to challenge the authority. And you know, you just can't come at us with anything. And I tell a story about when I was at right outside of Princeton University. You know, I said hi. You know, there was a liberal gathering, and they were all around, and I said hi to this white woman, and she said, "Are you talking to my dog?" And you know, and it's like, whoa. Then the inner city the ghetto was about to come out of me, you know. But I said, you know, oh yeah, and I had to say, hold on. I said, hold on. You know, I'm from Trenton, but I'm in Princeton, and I know what they will do to me out here at Princeton if I went off. But you know, I had to think like Martin Luther King. You know, Jesus Christ said, "Love everyone, bless them that curse you, pray for those who despitefully use you, love your enemies. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." And you know, and those are things, you know, that, you know, we at times you have to have. You have to have that Christian background, that strength, that have, you know, let people know that God is on your side. And you know, and you know, and Martin Luther King, my hero, he in his one of his sermons, he said that the "but if not" speech, a sermon. I don't know if you heard that sermon. It's called "But If Not," and one of the things it talks about, if you have the if faith or the though faith. And if faith, or you know, if God, if you won't allow me to go to jail, if you give me a nice car, if you won't allow me to go through any problems, I'll you know, I'll love you. I'll love you and stand by you. And you know, I go to church. And the though faith, though things may be rough, things are happening, and you know, and you may go through so many times, and you might not be saved one day, and you keep going through things. That's the though faith. You know, don't worry about it. Everything will be all right. But that's that though faith, and you got to have that though faith. Though times are rough, and it's like you in the '60s. Though times may be rough, we may catch hell, but we still have to believe in God and know that God will deliver us. You know, and that's important. That's definitely important. For those who are watching, I'm with Brother Jamal. He's out of North Carolina, and Jamal, you know, I love you, brother, because I see the energy in you. And you know, I got to get me one of those the Gaskin flag, you know, shirts. I used to sell those when you're down in Washington, and we'd take them to Washington and during the Tea Party movement rallies, and me and my guy Lou Jassico. But you know, I just want to say you've been a a great experience for me. And you know, and I just want to say I love you, man. You know, I love you. You're the man. You know, it's funny you say you the man. You the man.
Let me say this, Daryl, because I like I said, I want to be honest. Because my church is out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and my pastor always told me tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
I ain't gonna lie and say every time these liberals come across me, Jesus is with me. Jesus, I said and acted like Jesus was with me all the time. Now I ain't gonna dare. If I'm with my children and my wife, and one come up to me talking about some craziness, I hate to say it, there.
Oh yeah,
Jesus ain't gonna be with me right then. He gonna be there.
I definitely know what you're saying, because we're not perfect, and
yeah,
you know, and God knows that we're not perfect, and God knows that we're going to make mistakes. But the idea, the fact that God wants to know that as long as we believe in Him, you know, and I tell the, you know, and what's the thing? What Paul says that we can do what?
All things through Christ who strengthen me.
That's right, and that's.
Let me say this real quick, Darryl. Let me say this real quick, because this also has to be said about illegal immigration, whom are hurt as well. Mm-hmm. Those who are here legally are hurt as well, immigrants that came here legally, because I work with Dominicanos, Mexicans from Texas, they call themselves Texicans, who paid the way, the right way. What about all the money they spent to do it the right way? See, a lot of people talk about, you know, it's just, oh, well, you just bigoted. What about the Latinos? Because Puerto Ricans are the true American citizens, okay? They are the American Latinos. Cubans were at one time. That's why if they make it over here, as soon as they hit the land, they're free. They're here because before the Castro regime, Cuba was considered American territory. So when I hear people try to compare illegal immigrants to Cubans, first of all, you ain't never lived under Fidel Castro. Those Cubans that escaped and made it here, many died on voyages to come here. So for those liberals to compare people who hop the fence at the southern border to come here, compare it to Cubans, that's wrong. That's a slap in the face. To compare them to Puerto Ricans who are American citizens, who fight in our wars, who sign up and come straight to the United States or straight to our military and fight and die, that's an insult to them as well. So liberals don't care whom they're insulting, whom they're stepping upon to push their agenda.
All right, brother. And I want to say that, you know, this has been a great show, and I will definitely invite you on. But I'd like everybody to go, if you like to go check out the Onfire Show, they can like the Onfire Show. And brother, and what is your page again, brother Jamal?
My Facebook page is Minor Jamal. Twitter and YouTube as well.
Okay, and my Facebook page is Onfire Show, and also you can go on YouTube and like the Onfire Show and subscribe to it, and definitely this will be on. And my brother, I will have you on, and you're the man. You're the man. And it's been exciting, and you know, a lot of people are watching, and I thank everybody for watching the show. And you know, I just, you know, and will you be at the Mothers? I'm speaking at the Mothers of All Raleigh. Will you be there?
I don't know, Daryl, because one thing
about
it,
Bill, you gotta come. You gotta come. You gotta come.
I plan on trying. Now, President Trump had that military parade. I know I'm gonna make it to DC for that. But I'm HVAC. I'm a blue collar guy. In order for me to do stuff, when I get my paycheck,
I'm sure. You know, I'm sure. What's the brother in charge of Mothers of All Raleigh will get you there. Definitely, that we're going to get you there. Yeah, Tommy the Gun. He's definitely Okay. Tommy the Gun. He's in charge of Mothers of All Raleigh. I think Will is going to be there. Will and some other ones. You was on his show a few times.
Yeah, Will Johnson.
Will Johnson. Yeah, Will Johnson.
Yeah, out of Cali.
and Tommy the Gun. He's going to be there, and a few other ones. It's going to be a big rally, and you know, I would love, you know, definitely love to see you come to the rally and speak, and it's a powerful thing. But like I said, I like to thank you for coming on the show. It's been awesome, and you definitely will be on again, and we'll talk about some real serious issues, specific issues that we like to discuss. Okay, my brother?
All right, Daryl. Look forward to being on the show again.
And they can go to, what's your page again?
Mine of Jamal. I posted on my right now. I live screened it right now, so I put it straight to my page so people can be able to see it, see whom you are as well, Daryl Brooks, and because it came up Daryl Brooks, and then came on when I went to your page Onfire, it didn't come. The live feed didn't come up. It only came up on your page.
Oh, okay. I got to fix that. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for watching the show, and they can go to Onfire Show to see this again. This is going to be a hot topic. I'm sending this all over the place. And all my friends, who know nothing about you, they gonna know who you are today. All right?
Thanks, Daryl.
My brother. And this is Daryl Brooks on the Onfire Show, and I'd like to thank all y'all for watching, and God bless. And we'll be having more shows coming up in the next few days, and this has been a definitely blessing being with Brother here on the Onfire Show, and I'd like to thank you all for watching. And please like me on our page on the Onfire Show. Please go to the Onfire Show. All those who are watching, go to the Onfire Show and like it, and so you get to see this again, and you get to see more positive and conservative, pro-America Trump talk and political talk about social issues, crime, violence, education, legal immigration, politics that's happening all over the country and all around the world. This is the Onfire Show with Daryl McKell Brooks, and I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I want you all to say have a good night, and God bless America, and God bless you all. This is the Onfire Show, and I'm out. Daryl McKell Brooks.